a little bit of a heads up here for my new setup. As you can see, it's a bit different. I chose kind of a bit of a different place to record because I felt like it would be more nice to record in a much nicer area. So yeah, I also wanted to put up stickers for my background, so tell me if you like it or not. I'm actually not sure if it looks good or not, so So yeah, anyway, enjoy the video. Hey guys everyone, Ryuu here, and today I am going to be wearing Kiko for this video because this is a video that's going to be talking about a very, very specific thing that I kind of want to discuss and kind of warn people about before they start doing this very thing. Or at least not warn them, but like kind of give like a little bit more insight into this very subject. So, first things first, what am I going to talk about in this video? I'm going to talk about fursuit wigs. Specifically fursuits with wigs like this. Like my fursuit right here, which is why I'm wearing Kiko in particular in this video. So, first things first, why do I want to talk about this? Well, there's a fair few reasons why I want to particularly talk about this. Especially as a fursuit maker who has worked with wigs in the past. Multiple times, in fact. So the first thing I want to talk about is that they are not easy to work with. Like, I mean, and by that, I mean building them. Like, if you're making a fursuit with a wig, expect it to be a lot more different than just working with, like, really long fur or something. It's very different. Because, the first thing I immediately, because when I noticed, like, when I was working with the wig, I noticed that, like, it was kind of, like, for the first time I was doing it, which was not a Kiko, by the way. The first time I worked with a wig was with my older character, Rain, who I plan to remake eventually, but basically her fursuit was a lot more difficult because it was my first ever time working with a really low quality wig, which I thought wouldn't make too much of a difference. I was very wrong. Like, I recommend getting a wig off of like Amazon and really looking for that very particular wig, and not just going to some costume store and getting a random wig, which is what I did at first. Because the first wig I got for Rain, it was this like red wig that wasn't very clean, I guess. Like, I didn't know how to take care of it, so I just kind of let it sit on the table and didn't really take care of it like at all. Also, yeah, and when I kind of left it on the table and eventually used it for a fursuit, it looked horrible. It looked like some creepy ass old man just kind of looking at you in the darkness. Like, and I did not style it at all because I had no idea how to. So it did not look good. So what I recommend before even like before doing that is find a good wig and take care of it. Because that's what I did for Kiko's wig, for example. Like, for the most part, I took care of it. Like, I tried to brush it the best I can. And I also recommend before anybody makes this mistake, which I actually did at first, don't brush your wig with your fursuit brush. That's what I did at first, and I don't recommend doing that at all. Get an actual hairbrush or a wig brush, for example. Like, get an actual wig brush for your fursuit wig. That's what I recommend if your fursuit has a wig, or you plan to make your fursuit with a wig or something like that. Be careful. So yeah, basically, don't use just like you can't probably use like a normal brush for a wig. I wouldn't recommend it personally because I think it pulls out like the hairs in your fur or the hairs in your wig, but just be careful with your wig. So yeah. The next thing I would probably recommend for people in general is styling your wig. If your fursuit character, if your character with long hair has a very, very particular style to your wig, don't use a wig. Like, has a very particular style with their hair, don't use a wig. That's a bad idea. What I recommend is if your fursuit character has like a very particular like anime style that isn't necessarily just long like this, I recommend using just normal long fur, or just really long fur and then kind of like cutting it like in the shape of hair in a way. Like, that's what a lot of people do is they just use fur instead of hair, or not hair, instead of wigs. Wigs for like hair, so yeah. The reason why I used the reason why I used a wig for Kiko's hair is it looked a lot more like it fit the character for me personally. Like, Kiko has very simple hair, like has very long, just blue hair, so it kind of worked perfectly for there. So, yay. And yeah. Another thing I also recommend is once you finish your first head with a wig on it, I also recommend I think it was the word. I recommend being careful where you put your first head. Put your first head somewhere safe, like on a head thing, like one of those styrofoam head pieces things. I recommend placing your head on one of those. So if you're especially if your character has long hair like Kiko, I recommend putting your character on a pedestal, a little head base thing, so they would so their hair won't get messed up. Basically, is what I'm saying. Unlike most first heads where you can just kind of put them on a table and they'd be fine for a little bit, or not a little bit, but they would just be fine, no big deal. You put a fursuit with a wig on it, like a table or something, that shit's gonna get messed up. So I recommend being careful where you place your fursuit with a wig. So yeah, unless your wig is very short, which you wouldn't really need a wig for that, but if your fursuit has very short hair and you used a wig, that won't be as much of a concern, but if your fursuit has long hair and used a wig, then it's a bit more of a concern. That's at least that's my personal experience with wigs. So, yay. And yeah. Another recommendation that I will say is when you're working with your wig, as you're building your fursuit head with the wig, another thing I recommend is be careful where you place your ears. This is something that not many people actually think about before actually working on a wig, I noticed. Well, personally, I didn't think about this too much until I actually started working on the fursuit head of Kiko. Well, and I actually had to redesign her because the way her ears were positioned originally on the head were actually more pointed upwards, and that did not fit the wig because the wig was obviously more designed for a human head, and humans don't have little fox ears like this. They don't. Instead, they have ears on the side of their head, like humans' ears. So that's kind of what I do with Kiko's ears, only I made them less human, of course. So, yeah. So what I recommend is being careful how you cut your wig, too, because I have noticed, because I have heard stories of people cutting their wigs, and, it screws up the wig entirely. So I recommend being careful what wigs you get, too. Which goes back to the whole, get a good quality wig. And really do your research on, wigs in general. And by research, I mean experiment. Experiment like crazy and see, what wigs really work. And don't be me and just kind of use some random wig. At least for the first time. So, yeah. And, yeah, that's kind of the main points I wanted to bring up in this video is, be careful how you build your fursuit. How you design it, at least. And be careful where you put your fursuit. And, yeah. I also highly recommend keeping up maintenance on your wig, in particular, in the fursuit head. And by that, I mean, after you've already fully built the fursuit head, keeping up maintenance on that head, and making sure that it doesn't, fall apart. Well, not fall apart, but, make sure it doesn't, the hair doesn't, start falling out or something, because that can happen with some wigs. If your wig is, what's the word, for example, if you, yeah. I also recommend treating your wig like a wig. You might be confused by what I mean by that, but basically, hear me out. There are some people who don't understand, when I mean treat your wig like a wig, when you're, make sure you're reasonable with how you treat your wig. Do your research on wigs. Because I actually did some research on a wig before actually using it on Kiko. And I found some interesting stuff. For example, you can't use normal shampoo and conditioner on the wig. You have to wash it in special wig shampoo. And same with, other stuff, which which so far I haven't really needed to wash this head yet, so I'm kind of nervous about that a little bit. But I think I have a plan on how I'm going to go about that, so I'm good. So, yay. But yeah, this head is basically a massive experiment for me. I also recommend, again, using a wig brush instead of just a normal brush for a wig. So, yeah. So basically be careful with how you use your wig. So, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Basically, yeah, that's kind of the points I wanted to bring up in this video. in particular because I feel like there are very, very important points to bring up because not many people really know how to use a wig on a fursuit, so yeah. So I figured these would be important points to bring up about a fursuit head because it can be very easy to screw up your wig on a fursuit head. Obviously, it's not fragile as hell. Like, you can still, like, throw it around and you'll be fine. You just need to rebrush it afterwards. But it is more frustrating to use a wig versus just normal fur for your wig, for your fursuit head. So, yeah. So, do I recommend wigs? Kind of. If you know what you're doing, then yeah. If you don't use them. Or at least learn how to use them before actually using them. So, yeah. Those are my personal experiences with wigs. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sorry if it's kind of long and a little bit rambly at times. Means if you understood the video, I'm glad if you did. And yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then give it a like, subscribe, and yeah. I see y'all dudes in the next video. Hopefully a little bit better scripted. This video is not scripted at all. None of my videos are. Anyway, see you later. Bye.